All right, guys, we are live, and happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to another PDOCS Livestream episode. As we discussed earlier in the week in a couple videos and posts, and what we're going to cover today is the prospect journey and all things the sales process. So I'm going to dive in pretty quickly and screen share. I'll be monitoring my phone if anybody's watching, and I'll bring this up a couple times because I know I just streamed it. I don't know if anyone's on yet, but I'll be monitoring my phone. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'll be checking in there periodically and trying to answer some of those. But what I really want to run through here is, everything that comes, as I just talked about, with the prospect journey and the sales process, but more importantly, how to stand out and how to show that you're different from the other service providers, right? How to show how you're more competent, more detailed, more compassionate or caring and considerate of their actual needs and why they're booking or why they're coming into your funnel. So what I want you guys to focus on really quickly is, let's go to Tuesday the 4th, because we've had a couple days, so I can kind of show you the process. So we'll see the ones in red. Those were six, it looks like, yeah, 6 audience lab calls that were booked to my calendar. And this was for the initial call, the triage process. So I want to show you what happened with all of those. And I'll scroll back to the names, but I'm going to try to go through them in order. We have Rizard, or Rich as he liked to be called, Nagy, Melvin, Rick, Sess, who's actually Sanaa, and Tom. So first thing, if I'm to go into my Fathom recordings on that particular day, you're going to see all those names right here where I'm hovering my mouse. 13 minutes, Rich. 23 minutes, Nagy. 20 minutes, oh, that was a team call. Melvin, 20-minute call. Rick, 8 minutes. Sanaa asked me to not record, so there's only 1 minute there. But I always have call recordings, whether you're doing that on Zoom, whether you use one of these call softwares, doesn't really matter. How you're doing it, but as long as you're recording them and saving them, there's a couple reasons for that, as some are obvious, but I'm also going to point it out where they're used in this process moving forward as well, the recordings. There's 2 different ways I might use them that you guys may not be. I'm not certain, but I know a lot of people aren't doing all of these. So what I'm going to dive into now is, let's go into the account for each particular prospect that we were just talking about. So Rich was first, right? Rizard, and then I scrolled all the way back. Let me minimize this, into the conversation began section in the middle here where I'm hovering my mouse. So you can see this prospect just clicked on our ad and came out to our ecosystem on June 3rd. And of course, we're focusing here on June 4th. So he clicked on our ad and was already booked for the next morning, right? So once he opts in, this is what happens in our CRM in the system with what we have set up for automations and triggers and workflows, right? So obviously the opportunity is created and he goes into the opt-in stage in the particular pipeline that he booked into, right? And then we get the appointment details and everything confirmed, and then we send out an email with that booking, right? So, and just so you can get a look, hey Rizard, this is Ray from Audience Lab, just confirming your call with me to discuss our DaaS offer, scheduled for your yada 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 time. We always include the Zoom link. Now this one, in this particular campaign, this is a little above and beyond what I would normally do or what I would recommend, most people do with like a simple core offer and maybe an upsell or a downsell, or maybe not even 3 offers. But we have multiple, and this one specifically is for our more back-end, higher tier program. They want to eventually potentially, that's what they're booking for, is leverage our platform and the ability to white label the data and use it for their customers, generally speaking, if they're booking in for our DOS program, right? So we give them all kinds of resources. So number 1, here's a breakdown of the entire program, A to Z. Overview. Here's some work that we've done for other companies in the past. It's important how you understand the DaaS model works and why we prefer this to building a SaaS per se. And then some examples of the technology itself where we've built in-market audiences, right? So we give them, and odds are, if you think about it, right, this guy booked on the 3rd, he's scheduled for the morning of the 4th. With the amount of resources, it's very unlikely anyone's ever going through all of those. I recommend, especially to start, having 1 or 2 core things. You're always going to reiterate in your confirmation email the date, the time, the offer, right, and the particulars. You're always going to include the Zoom link right in there, and right below the time preferably, right? And then, generally speaking, I just like to have a program overview video, something that's going to kind of leverage, actually, I'm sorry, I'll talk about that in a moment. In this case, prior to, they're normally seeing like a VSL, right? They click on the ad and they get put into a VSL, which in essence is really what this first link is. So I would recommend having something like that. But what we're really just trying to do is educate the person about who you are as a company and what results you provide. Not so much like Audience Lab. We're a data and tech company. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how we get people lower cost per lead, lower cost per acquisition, increased profitability in their ad campaigns, basically by flicking a switch and doing that overnight by injecting first party in-market data, right? So I'm not in these videos right now. I get into more particulars in the next resource that I would send somebody, and that's more of a program or product overview video, which I'll also explain when we get to that point. But early on, you just want to get something that's going to, what I always say is you want to create a resource that's going to create more intrigue, and it's ultimately going to have them hyped to show up to the call. They're going to come more knowledgeable, and that way you can really dive right in, and you don't have to like chit chat and do all that small talk of what's happening a lot in the market, and other advertisers and people booking are probably seeing this, is people are coming on the call, and let's just say I start off with saying, "Hey Joe, I'm just curious, like, why'd you book and what do you know about us?" "Well, Ray, an ad came across, I think, on Facebook yesterday. I clicked on it. Sounded interesting, but to be honest, I'm clicking on about 4 or 5 different ads. I'm not even sure which company I booked with," right? So that's not a great way to start. That means you haven't stood out much if they get on the call basically saying, "I don't even remember who I booked with," right? So something that's going to let them remember your brand, exactly what you do, who you are, and talk more about the results and the expectations and the outcomes right now, and that's going to intrigue them to want to hop on the call, right? So they get that email. Then they're also going to get a 24-hour they're going to get a 24-hour reminder. So here, and then with that, they have that one resource. So this is what I'm talking about in like the VSL, and I can even show you what it is. That resource is this right here. And since they booked for our DAS program, this is the one thing I really want them to go through. So in that email, this is the first link, and then in the SMS, this is the only link that they get, because this is the important one. If they watch this 15-minute video, the call is just going to go that much smoother. And that's a great start. "Hey man, did you get a chance to go over any of those resources I sent you? Or at minimum, at least, the first one? Cool. Did you get to at least check out that 15-minute video at the top of the page where Adam kind of breaks down the data as a service offering?" Right? And that's your segue right into the call. And you understand, if they've done it, anybody that's done that is going to be more likely to take action later, because throughout this whole process, all we're doing, if you think about it, is leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for them to follow to the finish line, which is a closed deal, a client, and then ultimately a successful customer once you get into retention and fulfillment, right? But we're talking more about the sales process and prospect journey here today, so I'm not going to elaborate on that part much further, any further, right? But when they go through this video, that's just a great help, and that's kind of the resource that we want. And then it gives them a quick breakdown of kind of everything they get. And when I break this down further on the call with them, I really highlight the 5 areas of the program, the core deliverables here. The 3 check marks below are all great, but they're all in addition. Like, this is the meat and the potatoes and the star of the show. And I'll talk a little about how I go through the triage and the call flow when we get to that, but let's get through the process first. So they received, they opted in, received their confirmation email, confirmation text. They come back replying, which is always a good sign. Then they're going to get a 1-hour reminder by both email and SMS. So both these are the same. This one's going to have a little more information, right? But a friendly reminder that your appointment's 1 hour. Here's the link. We usually don't include the link in the SMS until the last one for a very specific reason. When you send the link in a 24-hour or 1 hour, a lot of times they just click on it because it hit their inbox. So you'll see. Now, I go ahead and send this manually, even if my offer has automations. I like to mix in one personal message, just, "Hey, Rich, Ray here from Audience Lab. You've likely already received this, but just again, here's a reminder to join our upcoming call in approximately 20 minutes. Here's the link. Speak soon. First and last name," right? Very basic. And then they get a 5-minute reminder in our system, email and SMS. And this is the only one where they get the Zoom link, because now if they click on it, it's right before their call, right? So we do the call, and as I showed you here, if I still have it up, in Fathom, Rich was about a 13-minute call. Now, if you saw on my calendar, I had these scheduled as 15-minute intervals and a lot of back-to-backs. Now, you'll see over here on Friday, and then going into next week when I'm already having booking out, we have a lot of 30-minute calls as well, and that's because we have kind of 2 objectives. These are more triage purposes, and that's what I was really jumping in to break down, these 15-minute calls. And people have a lot of trouble trying kind of keeping it at 15 minutes, which is actually, if you've prepped and you've kind of done this process right, and they've gone through your explainer video or your brand information, and they are more up to speed on the whole process that we're discussing over here, these calls can easily stay within 15 minutes. And I always tell people on the triage, I have 2 primary objectives. Number 1 is to make sure they're the right fit and really decipher in my program, in Audience Labs current offering, I'm kind of segmenting them into bucket A or bucket B, meaning single product packages are products between $500 and $1,500 approximately, or more for our data as a service or full agency build outs or our high ticket and up, right? So I'm just trying to decipher. And then I'm always kind of wanting to get in a financial pre-qualification if it is going to be for the high ticket. I don't need to really financially pre-qualify for a $500 to $1,500 offer. They can afford it or they can't. But if I'm sending them to my advisor and I'm going to move them over, I'm always ending the call with something along the lines of, hey, Rich, that's great. So if everything makes sense when you speak with Mark Thursday at 2 p.m. on that call, and when he does the full demo and you see a clear path to lower your cost per acquisition and increase your ad profitability, is there anything that would stop us from moving forward on that call? And then I sit back and be quiet. And the reason I ask it that way, the other way, and the more scripts or frameworks or templates I see is, hey, Rich, if everything adds up and, what I just said, would you be willing to move forward on that call? And a lot of times they don't even think and they just nod their head or say yes. Whereas I ask, is there anything that would prevent you from moving forward? And then they stop and think about it. So what I'm trying to do is pull out objections right now. Right? And I would rather find out now before they're on the call with the closer or the advisor if there's going to be, hey, Ray, my spouse needs to be there. Hey, Ray, I have some financial problems. Hey, Ray, I have a business partner. What have you? It's a brief call. Something might not have gotten covered in 15 minutes. So by asking that, you're going to kind of suss out any reason why they wouldn't be able to move forward. If it's financing, then I can have a little more discussion about that and put it in the notes for the advisor, right? So this is obviously the message he received. As we see, just a friendly reminder, your appointment is 5 minutes. I will see you soon. So then it's always great when the next communication is the prospect. That's rare. Normally it's me because A, I communicate quickly, and B, almost after every call, I'm sending something over. And when I do that, I always shoot them an SMS confirming or letting them know that it's in their email inbox. Because we all know how that goes. You don't check it regularly. It hits spam. I don't know when it hit, right? So as soon as I send the email, just so they'll check it quicker, and while it's still top of mind, I shoot them an SMS. But he came back before I even had a chance to shoot his resources. Hey, Ray, it was a pleasure talking with you. So far, I haven't gotten any links. Please send me the stuff, right? So basically, he's like eager to, I want the information so I can at least start with your 10-day challenge and the video about that B2B list, right? So that's a great sign because our call was at 10 a.m. We got off at 10:15. You guys saw I was back to back there, so I obviously couldn't get to it any sooner than 10:30. And at 10:33, he's already asking me, hey, where's the resources, man? I'm looking for them, right? I wasn't much behind 10:50 a.m. Thanks, the pleasure was all mine. I had back-to-back calls sending momentarily. 10:54, that email's in there. I made a mistake on this one because it didn't fill it out. I didn't put in a subject line, which is a manual error that I did. Made that mistake once yesterday, but it happens, or Tuesday, I should say. And then I always shoot them a little reminder. Hey, Rich, sent that right to your inbox at XYZ, because some people have multiple emails and they even forget which one they sign up with. So even little things like including the email that you actually sent it to when you give them the reminder. Most people won't even shoot them the reminder. They'll shoot them the email banking on, hey, the prospect already knows it's coming. He's waiting for it. I'm sure he's going to get it, right? But we're never sure. Anything we can do to, again, leaving more breadcrumbs on that trail makes it easier to find your way to the finish line. So that's kind of where things left off. Now, in this guy's certain instance, I actually have my notes. But rather than that, let's show you the way it would look for the CRM. So here's the notes on the guy. So basically this guy booked on the wrong thing, which I sussed out real quick. And that's why the triage process is very important, especially when you have multiple offers. But I think it has so many purposes that are good for even one core offer, what have you, that I recommend installing that. But in our case, like, we don't want to send a guy like this to a full 30 or 45-minute demo and advisor session when he's never going to buy anything more than one of our entry-level products. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's fine. But I can figure that out in 15 minutes, send him the information, and he can make a decision. It's just being more efficient for our whole company as we're getting into scale mode. You guys know we're going to hit 8 figures this year. We might have already done, I don't know, but we're definitely an 8-figure company annual, and you can see all the volume we have coming in. I mean, what I was showing you with all those red, that was just my calls and me just getting injected back into this to help out because of a recent surge, where we'll probably hire and replace myself in that very, very soon. But aside from that, I have 2 full-time reps taking 40 to 50 hours of calls that are mobbed, and that's why there's people coming onto my calendar. So these are good problems to have, right? But we always want to be very, very thorough and detailed. And that's what I'm talking about in the process. It shows internally, especially when there's multiple calls, even more so if there's multiple calls and a handoff to multiple reps, right? How really aligned you are and how dialed in. Because in a lot of sales processes, what happens is you do a triage call with the triage rep. They move you over to the advisor, and then you're talking about the same stuff for the first 10 minutes. Like, you guys didn't communicate, you didn't fill you in. Like, why are we having the same discussion, right? Like, there's no need for that. Just get in and get the most productivity out of your time. So the notes here show that Rich runs a photography service in Southeast Michigan. Started actively running paid ads, Insta and LinkedIn, about 1.5 to 2 months ago. Says in his own words, and I always put quotes when it comes out of their mouth because this is what I talk about more in our sales process, using tie downs. And I did use this in the call back against him later. But he said in his own words, I'm running ads, but they don't work, right? Now, I find out his ticket value is $165 to $195 per job, and then he's hoping people upsell into his extended video packages, his 40 photo packages, right? Other things, but his core offer, when you think about the cost, he drives himself, the equipment, and then the ad spend, $165 to $195. I know he's, even on good ads, he's probably operating off slim margins right off the bat, which I dove into with him. I can assess that really quickly by knowing somebody's, average order value, right? It lets you just assess the call. And has upsells from there. As I said, he's likely going to start with our 97 10-day challenge. I'm sending resources and payment link via email. Here's today's call recording. So if I come out of the offer, like is likely to happen when I replace myself, and another rep gets, assigned to this prospect, or somebody, else comes in the pipeline, they know exactly what's going on. If anything's not clear, they can click and watch the first call and pick out whatever they can use to their advantage when they want to reactivate this guy, or, just to touch base to see if he's opted in yet, what have you. So all those things are very, very important. And let's just look at one or two more, and I'll cruise through the next couple a little faster because I went more in depth, but I just want to show you the process. And there's going to be certain things that are different with each prospect. So that's why I want to go through a handful. Because what if somebody no-shows? What if somebody doesn't hop on the link? What if, I'm going to cover all that. Really quickly, I'm going to log in and just see if there's any comments or anything on the thread. Again, I'm not even on there, so I'm not looking at the viewers, but let me just go take a look in there. Mute my phone so it doesn't come through. And looks like there's a couple comments. Just hello, book solid. Yeah, great. Rebecca, excellent. Yes, book very solid. And I'm the overflow guy, right? But yeah, so let's go look at another one or two real quick, and then we'll talk a little more about the triage process and the actual call structure, and I'll show you some examples of that. But again, this guy opted in June 3rd, and I can scroll up, conversation began. That we have no prospect record before here. So he saw an ad on the 3rd, he's on my calendar for the 4th. Again, opportunity created, into the pipeline he booked, appointment details are all created in our system, then the notifications go out. The email booking, again, with all those resources I showed you before. Oops, scrolled too far. But yeah, with all those resources I showed you before, again, this one's more extensive than I would recommend for most people. I like this better, but in email, you can give more, definitely. In SMS, you want to keep it shorter and really keep it to the one thing that you want them to take out of that SMS, right? Plus SMSs, once you include more than one link, they get tricky in terms of deliverability. The integration, something gets screwed up when you have more than one link via SMS very, very often. But yeah, so they'll get the confirmation, they'll receive that video, which I clicked on, our program overview, and this gives them a lot of stuff, right? All kinds of testimonials, just so you guys can see what we send. The main thing I want you guys to focus on is this video does the heavy lifting, and this is what I want them to watch. And then this is just all complimentary and adding on to it. And of course, anytime we're showing case studies, results, and, endless ones. And then Adam leads to more content, which is great because content is king right now in everything. I was actually just on with one of my reps earlier today, and we were having a discussion kind of off the cuff or off the record, if you will, just having a personal discussion. And he's like, he was talking exactly about this. He's like, dude, we had a bunch of people that just weren't engaging. Adam ran a quick workshop, got 120 people there yesterday, ran them through them content, and we just got an influx of booking, and all these people are now asking if they can get the payment links and trying to convert. Like, just re-emphasizing content is king. Sometimes they just need to see that one piece of information that's like, oh, damn, that's exactly what I need in my business. Now let me go back and talk to them, right? So the more content we can introduce them to, the better. I just want you guys to remember to be very intent with what you're doing. Like, the top of the page needs to be the video that delivers the most value in the process and really does, what you're looking at it to do. So cool. Let's go down and watch Nagy some more. So he gets the reminders and the confirmations. He replies yes, which is always good. We just get them to chime in and basically say, yep, I'll be there, right? And any time you can even get just a little intent-based action, because most CRMs and most sales process, and I manage and see a lot, there's no communication at all from the prospect. It's just the company sending reminders and things and never really asking for any re-engagement until after you actually speak, which can work and is fine, but anything you can do just to get that little more intent is always better. So then we'll see the 1 hour email, 1 hour SMS reminder on autopilot. I send a little personal 30-minute message, and then he gets the 5-minute reminders. Now this would have been the after email. So, and I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, I didn't show you on the last guy. So good. The resources and stuff I sent. It says it in the notes, and I usually try to say what I send, but there's always a record of it in here as well. So whether it's me or another team member needs to see what I send, they can just click it and open it, right? So this guy in particular, I just sent this for a very specific reason. This guy, after talking to him, I know that this resource right here is what he needs to see to kind of get him over the line. So I drop that, and then I leave some intent, like, you know, or maybe I didn't on that one. Usually I say after you've gone through this, let me know your takeaways or if you have any questions or something like that. I may not have here, but this one is very simple. Hey, Nagy, here's the link to the video I mentioned on our call today. You want to check out specifically the Audience Builder 4-minute video. Here's the link. So I don't want to overwhelm him. I know this is the missing link. That's what I'm able to assess on that call, get him through this, and then do my follow-up, or he's just going to click and come back in and purchase from our SPP page. But basically, notes again, I'll run through them super quickly. Runs a Shopify store selling computers and computer accessories. He's only made about 25 sales since launching at the beginning of the year, looking to run ads as his primary lead gen source moving forward, but still has a minimal budget. He'd be best fit for our business to consumer SPP tier 2 product currently if he can't afford it. Or if he can afford it, I said. I'm sending over his resources soon via email. Here's today's call recording. So all the same stuff. And then once I sent the email, again, the SMS that I personally send follow. Hey, Nagy, just sent the email with the video I mentioned on our call to your inbox. XYZ, Ray Langdon Audience Lab. So very, very similar. The next one is a little different because he didn't show initially. So this will be a little example. Melvin, yep. If I remember right, and I was right. And just to kind of reflect back on my calendar, as you guys saw, Rich was at top here, Nagy was back to back, which is why it took me a little to send that resource, and then Melvin was my next one. So I'm going in order of how they were booked that day. And again, same thing here. Clicked on our ad June 3rd. He's already on my calendar June 4th. Everything created. I'm not going to go through that same stuff over and over again. But this one, here's his 5-minute reminder, and then the call was for 45, so hold on, let me minimize that again. So if you guys can see on the screen, this is at 48 over here, so about 3 minutes after the call. If they're not on within 2 to 3 minutes, I kind of always send a brief little message, not being rude by any means, but putting the onus a little back on them. Hey, Melvin, are you hopping on the call for the time you selected to speak with our team today? Right? And then that's a little refresher. Now I give it 2 more minutes. Then at 5 minutes, you'll see an outbound dial. So all I do, if they haven't joined within 5 minutes, and this is what a lot of reps are doing. Okay, he didn't show 5 minutes. Maybe they hang out 3 or 4 more minutes, or they send an email or another SMS. But after this, really nothing is going to do anything other than reaching him directly. So it's super simple, right? I'm not going to click on it right now because it will call him while I'm on here. But I just go up to this icon, click the button, and my headset's already active. I'm good. Like, no big deal. It just calls him while I'm still sitting on Zoom. Now with him, oh, I would have to click on it. We'll show the call recording. I was on with him for about 2 minutes explaining who we were. In this case, I remember specifically, he didn't remember which email he signed up with, and it went to the wrong inbox. So he never even got the invite link. And maybe he didn't see the SMS. I don't remember what it was with his cell, but I know he didn't know it was at the right email. So I get on the call with him. I'm talking to him. Oh, cool. That's totally understandable. Can you open it now? Oh, you found it? Cool. Can you just click on the link? I'll hang up right here and I'll see you on the Zoom call. All right, great. Boom. So then I get on Zoom, and as you see back in the Fathom recordings, Melvin right over here, 20-minute call. So again, he was ended up we didn't get on for at least 5 minutes late. Luckily here I didn't have a back-to-back, and me and this guy took it a little longer because I was bullshitting and building a little more rapport with him. But again, there's an instance where it's like just that one extra thing of me clicking this got the guy on the call and got a potential client, where a lot of people won't even take the 2 seconds to click that, or uncomfortable calling somebody that had just booked a call on their calendar. It makes no sense to me, but I do see it quite frequently. Melvin has a mortgage and loan company called Stallion Loans. He's looking for B2C data initially and later B2C and B2B2C, which we are one of the only platforms that has, as some of you may know. He's starting a lead gen agency in the near future as well, and at that time might be a good fit for our DAS or a full agency build out. Likely to start with our business to consumer tier 2 product though for his personal mortgage company. Here's today's call recording, right? So boom, done. Here's the email. This is exactly what he needs to see very quickly, and then email Melvin, check, boom. And then, that simple. Scroll through one or two more, but I'll go focus on the triage because these are going to be pretty redundant now. I might have had another one. Rick. Was Rick another guy? So Rick was another one. Okay. So we'll see here. Minimize that little box. 5-minute reminder. Zoom link. You'll see me 3 minutes after the call again. Hey, Rick, are you hopping on for the time you selected to speak with us today? Nothing. 3 minutes later, call him. And then as you see, we had a call. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had all these notes, and he's in Fathom as well. But so there is the call. After the call, which I got him on, you'll also see the resources I sent him, and very similar. This guy was the B2B builder video and not the audience builder video, which is our B2C feed. So I'm always very specific because the resource I send him is our most comprehensive resource that we have that we give to anybody who's not a client, that really dives deep into exactly what we do and how we do it. And I don't want people to get overwhelmed in there. They have the ability to go play around, but it's like, hey, this is what you need to know right now. If you go look at the other stuff, great. Like, do that in addition, but like, that's what you need to know right now. And that's what I'm always highlighting. And then after I sent the email, hey, Rick, Ray here with Audience Lab. That email I mentioned has been sent to email XYZ. Let me know once you've had a chance to check it out. Ray Langdon, Audience Lab. And again, no show initially, but then I rang him, got him to join soon after. He runs a credit repair for business funding offer. We had a brief convo. Due to him hopping on late and me having back-to-back, we didn't have a long time, but I realized really quickly he's a fit for this, sent him the resources, and we will follow up from there. Here's a copy of today's call recording. So these are all the things that are happening before it even gets to them purchasing, or I transition them to a live demo and to an advisor for a sales call. Most of these ones, as you guys can see, were more fit for our single product packages, which again, I'm going to emphasize, we're trying not to waste our sales team's time and use a triage rep, or the more and more we're going, we can probably automate that and send them right to a landing page just to purchase and not even take up 15 minutes. But I think this extra 15 minutes really helps because it helps us get specific with directing them in exactly what they're looking for rather than them trying to figure it out and having to go through a bunch of content. And we're always trying to assess what's most efficient for us, right? But yeah, so lastly, the thing I want to cover really quickly, and then I'll check the comments one more time to see if there's any questions or anything you guys want me to elaborate on. But on the call, I don't have a script. I don't have a template. Now, I have an outline and a framework that I've used for years, and me, it's just embedded, and all my clients have access to it for triages. But mine always goes something like this. Once I got to break the ice about where they're from or whatever my small talk is, it's like, hey, Joe, so basically, let's just talk about why you clicked on our ad the other day and what are you hoping to get out of today's call, because I'd rather talk about what's relevant to you that we do, and maybe we have a lot of other stuff that's not so relevant that I can save some time not talking about, right? So something along those lines. And what I normally hear back is, I saw your ad about, using in-market data, and I was really looking for targeted audiences. That's somebody who took a strong acceptance to our frame that we laid out in our hook, and they know exactly why they're booking the call. That's what you want. That's one of the great things about asking that question to start is like, hey, what made you want to book the call today? Hey, what'd you like about the ad? Whatever. You're going to get market feedback like, this is the hook that grabbed me, and then it's going to help back with your marketing campaigns as well. Or if you keep getting over and over again, I don't know, man, I'm just clicking on a bunch of ads and I don't remember what this is. That means you're not very memorable. You're not standing out prior to the call, and maybe your hooks or your creative needs to be enhanced a bit, right? So that's a great starting point. But more importantly, they usually say something like, well, Ray, yeah, that's great. Thanks for asking. I was really looking to find out about this and this. Cool, man. I'll make sure we dive right into that. And usually the this and this is, how exactly does this work and what are the price points? Is it even in my budget? Yeah, Joe, I totally get where you're coming from. We will cover that here shortly. First off, just so I can give you the best recommendations and suggestions before the end of this brief 15-minute call and kind of steer you in the right direction of how this might help you, is it cool if I ask you like 2 or 3 quick questions about your business? Awesome, great, cool. So first off, why don't you tell me a little about who you serve, how long you've been in business, and maybe what you charge? What's your average, deal size? And then I just kind of sit back and shut up and let them talk for a minute. And then I'll ask them, cool, so what are you currently, in this offer specifically, are you currently running paid ads? If they didn't, talk about that, great. About what are we spending per month? What are we seeing for results? What would we like to be seeing? Oh, do you know why that's likely happening? And then I can inject what's going on in there, and then the unexpected solution, which is our, in market first party data. So I'll kind of show them how the Facebook targeting, or Google, or whatever platform, let's just say Facebook for, for this instance, targeting has diminished so much over the last 10 years. I mean, to be honest, I'm talking to a lot of advertisers right now that are advertising for their own brands, guys. And what they're telling me is they're going into Facebook and just clicking, let Facebook find my ideal audience. So that's a big no-no. Most people don't realize when they do that, especially in the first month, but probably longer, about 80% of that budget is going into testing. You're going to be getting low quantity and quality early on while they're still figuring stuff out. Or we could go build in our platform a custom in-market or winning audience that we know is going to work, circumvent and just totally skip and eliminate Facebook's narrowed or limited targeting. Don't have them do any of it, and shoot a webhook with this audience right into your ad manager, and we run the ad straight to this audience rather than leave it to Facebook. Now, right off the bat, these are the results you should start to see, Mr. Customer. Boom, boom, boom. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Oh my God, right now that makes a lot of sense. That is what I'm doing. I'm going and clicking that box, and I'm letting them find my audience, and I'm only getting 1 to 2 calls a day. Some people are booking for a business opportunity, and I'm selling mortgage loans. So yeah, I'm getting bad quality, and people relate, right? So like, that's all I'm really doing, is sussing out where they're at in their business. What are they doing? I like to take it a step deeper. Well, I'm running ads and I'm doing organic, or whatever they say, cold email. Cool. So tell me, what do you like about that process? And what is working? What type of results are you getting? Okay, that's cool. Good for you, man. And on the flip side, maybe what don't you like about that process, or what isn't working where you'd like it to be? Oh, I totally get it. The rising ad costs, your profitability is down, and your cost per acquisition is way up. Those are certainly red flags scaling and growing a business, right? So if there's a way we can help you mitigate some of that and reduce some of the increased cost while making the profitability higher again, is that something you'd be interested in looking at? Cool, let me show you how we can do that. Boom, and then just transition into it. So it's pretty much always that same thing. And then at the end of the call, I just wrap it up with, great speaking with you today, Joe. I'm going to shoot that video we talked about right over to your inbox. Please go through that when you get a chance, and come back at me after you've gone through it. Let me know your questions, your thoughts, your concerns. I'll also include the link there about the program I recommended, our B2C Tier 2 program. I think that's the best fit for where you're at, your budget, and what you're looking to accomplish. So you'll have all the information. You can go look at it in your own time, and if I don't hear from you, I'll follow up in a couple days. Is that cool? Awesome. Right on, man. Well, nice chatting again. Nice hearing about your business. Look forward to hopefully rocking with you in the future, and we'll talk soon. Boom. So that's kind of my process, obviously expedited without their side of the conversation, but that's it. Like, people overthink this or think they need a script. Just have a conversation. Find out if you can help this person. Find out what bucket they fall in if you have multiple offers or products or tiers and pricing, and just recommend what's best. I mean, there was a guy that was thanking my, I'm not going to use the word because that would probably get blurted wherever I post this, but was thanking me very much for recommending a $97 product. He's like, I know you guys have stuff that's $3,000, $10,000, like, nobody would recommend. I'm like, this is what you need right now. You told me what your average dollar volume is and where your budget is. Like, I don't want to try to sell you something that's going to take food off your table this month, man. Try this, get a start, see if we see some results in 10 days. You'll fully understand by then, does this work for me? Does this not? And if so, let's talk about some of those other programs. Thanks, Ray. That's great. Yeah, send me the link. I want to jump in. So it's just about treating people right, doing what's right. If that 97 product wasn't going to help him and he needed the 3,000, I would have told him that. And if he couldn't afford it, we talk about financing, which we now offer. Some of you guys will be hearing about our new pre-approved.ai offer we have coming out. And I think Jesse just sent me over some of the ads for those this morning. But whatever, you guys get my point here. So that's kind of the whole process in a nutshell. Let me dive in one more time and see if there was any more comments or questions. I know when I do these on the live stream as opposed to the Zoom link, I probably get a lot less viewers that actually go in the group and do it. And just so anybody that is watching, whether it's live here, on the replay on Facebook, where I post this on YouTube later, what have you, the reason I do that is I do the live streams right to the group when I'm just teaching a lesson, because I don't have to interview, I don't have to back and forth, and I can just dive right into it and really deliver most value. I talk fast, I talk a lot. We're already at 35 minutes, so there's no way I would have got this into 45 minutes if I was on a Zoom link going back and forth with a guest or with with, or with you guys potentially. Well, that I always save time for that regardless. That doesn't really matter. Point being, I usually only go live and do it from my Zoom link when I'm having a guest on and people that want to hop in and do the Q&A. If I'm just teaching a lesson on the every other week I go live, I just stream here straight through the group. So thank you all. Hopefully this was helpful. Rebecca and somebody else hearted it, so I got a couple people watching. And we will see you guys next time. Next week I have on a new guest, which I'm going to drop a post either Monday or Tuesday to introduce this upcoming week's PDOCS Livestream expert guest. Thanks for being here, guys. If you do see this wherever, the one thing I would ask is, like, what was your biggest takeaway? I always love to know when I do these, like, what stood in your mind, or what was the value bomb that you're going to implement? Just any little feedback is always appreciated and welcome, guys. Thanks.